Hello everybody, it's Michael Harbridge coming to you live from central Wisconsin. It is Wednesday night and we are going to be doing turkeys tonight. There have been a lot of techniques we've shown in the past month using the gourd molds, and if you're not familiar with those, we've got lots of different sizes. We're going to work with the small one tonight and we're going to work with the big one tonight. We're going to give everybody a minute to get into the live. If you guys have questions, feel free to type in the questions. If you are interested in the mystery box, we have a mystery box tonight, and I'll explain about that in a minute. You can get in on the mystery box by just saying mystery box. I'm assuming we are live. It says the video is starting, but I don't see anybody coming in yet, so I'm going to give this a minute here and see if people start popping in. It does not look like anybody is coming into the room. I don't know if you guys can, just going to look, I'm not seeing any comments coming up, and I'm just going to go on my phone and see if this is actually working right now. See if we're in fact live, because according to my computer screen, it is just spinning in a circle. Okay, I just had somebody message me that said we're here and watching, but I don't see that anybody is actually here, and I don't see any questions, and the screen is still spinning in circles. So if you guys are actually seeing me and hearing me, just bear with me for a couple minutes. Janina's on her way down. We had kind of a crazy night tonight. I hit a deer a little bit earlier. Can you look on your device and see if you can actually see it? Because Facebook is just spinning saying video is starting.
Oh, jeez. Sure.
And I'm just messaging me. People are messaging. Oh, it says over 90 watching. Okay, so I guess we are live. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on, but my screen is showing that it says the live video is starting, and there's just a wheel spinning in a circle. So sorry about that. All right. So tonight we're doing the turkeys that you see behind me here. We're going to be working with the clay puzzling molds. We're going to be working with a small gourd, and we're going to be working with the large gourd. If you guys are interested in a mystery box, we have a mystery box. It's a little bit bigger tonight than it usually is. I had to put it in a clay box from Continental Clay, and I'm not going to tell you what's in the mystery box, but if you're interested in that, just type in the comment mystery box, and my wife Janine is here. She's going to write your names on a slip of paper, and toward the end of the live tonight, we will draw a name out, and we will then pull that name out, and that person will have the opportunity to purchase the box for $50, which includes shipping anywhere in the USA. If you're international and you want to get in on it, you would just need to pay the additional shipping on that box, which I would get you a quote. So what I'll tell you about the box is it's everything new. So we got a lot of new products coming out. So there's a lot of cool stuff in that box. It may have to do with tonight. I can't even remember what all is in there. There may be stuff that we're using tonight, but probably not. It's probably all stuff that you guys maybe haven't seen before. So I'll be revealing all of that toward the end tonight. So let's get started. I'm going to be working with raku clay, but this technique can be done with a mid-range clay, it can be done with high fire clay, and it can be done with low fire clay. And the way that it works, if you're not familiar with the clay puzzling molds, these molds are two pieces. They're attached with Velcro, and so that Velcro acts as a strap to hold the mold together. There's two halves, and we're going to press clay into the two halves of the mold to make the body for our turkey. And I've already got the big turkey is all done here, so I'm going to flip the camera around so you guys can see with the small gourd how we're going to do this. And I'm just going to take the clay and I'm going to flatten out pieces. You could roll out a slab of clay and lay the slab inside. I usually go between 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick because we're going to be adding some parts onto this, the feathers and the wings, and we're going to extend the head and things on here. And so we want this to be thick enough so that it is sturdy. Wherever I overlap the pieces of clay, I want to really squish that down for this technique. We're not putting any texture or anything in those pieces of clay at this point, so it doesn't matter how hard we press it. The harder we press, the less texture there will be on the clay pieces when we open up the mold. And I want to fill in both halves. I don't need to go above the seam line. If I go above the seam line, the mold is not going to fit together well. And this top part of the gourd, because this gets real narrow, that usually ends up being pretty much just solid. And when we close this mold up, we might have a little bit of clay that oozes out. But on the rest of this, we don't need that clay sticking up above at this point. And then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to really squish all of that clay and mash that together. If I didn't want to use my finger, I could also use just like a washcloth or a sponge to press that clay down and squish that together. Where the opening is on the mold, we want to leave that open so we can get in there to press the clay when we put the two halves together. And if there's clay sticking above, I'll show you. We're going to cut that off before we put the mold together in just a minute. And Janine will take names until about 1/4 after the hour, and then we will cut it off at that point. So the mystery box is only open to the people that make it in for the beginning of the live.
111 comments right now.
Oh, okay. So she's got about 111 names to write down right now. So. It's always fun coming up with what's going to be in the mystery box. Some weeks I forget, and then like 5 minutes before we go live, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about the mystery box. Everybody would be so angry at me if I didn't have a mystery box. All right, so I'm squishing all the clay down in this half. Now I'm going to take just a needle tool or a wooden tool, and I'm going to go along the edges and take away any clay that's sticking up above that seam line. Like this clay here, that mold won't fit together well if I don't cut that clay away. I can do the same thing on the other half. And then I'm going to make a small coil about the diameter of my pinky. And I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, we've seen this 100 times, Mike. So I picked the small mold to do this with. So for those who haven't seen this technique before, you can see how this works. But I'm just making a coil, and it doesn't need to be a perfectly rolled coil or something that you extrude, but it's about the diameter of a finger, my pinky. And I'm going to put that coil around on one half of the mold, and it's just going to be going around like this because the top of this is already going to be solid. And this coil that we're adding is going to be the clay that we're going to squish from this side of the mold to the other side to fill in any gap once we put these mold halves together. I don't need to go along the bottom here because there's nothing to attach. That's just extra clay. If I didn't put that coil in there and I just went and started squishing the clay from this side of the mold to the other side, I would probably end up making a thin area there. I also don't need this coil sticking way up above the edge of the mold. It should be down in the clay. Now when I lift the other side of the mold up to place it on this mold, I want to kind of wrap my fingers around it because as I turn that over, this clay could pop out. I'm tapping it, and it won't on a little mold like this, but on a bigger mold, you can get this whole piece of clay will flop out. So if you wrap your fingers around, and then as you set that together, slide your fingers out, get it lined up here right, and then that Velcro strap you can wrap around the mold. And then on the inside, you want to press that clay. And so to get into an opening this small, I can get my fingers in and my thumb in a little way on each side, but I can't get all the way down in. So we've got the press tool with the light on it, and that light is designed to shine inside the mold. Now, this mold, I could probably use this bigger ball end. It almost fits into this opening, but I'm going to use the smaller ball end. And this never comes out real good on the camera. I try to hold this up that you guys can actually see in there. It's really hard to, I can see well in there, but it's hard to get that lined up so that on the camera you can see inside the mold really well. But anyway, I'm taking that tool, and that coil is on this half of the mold, and I want to reach in there and kind of drag it and squish it to the other side to attach the two halves. And what I look for when I teach this in workshops is I go and I look inside this mold, and I look to see if I can see the edges of that coil. I tell people to go back in and press more to really get that clay squished down and fill in any gap that's there. And if you don't get it filled in really super well, it's not a big deal because you can work it from the outside as well. And then I'm going to take the strap off of here, and I kind of wiggle the mold half, and I can get that to come apart. Now, inside the mold, you can't get up into here to attach this because it's pretty much solid from there up. So this isn't attached, and that's okay. I'm going to roll this over into my other hand, give it a wiggle, and pull that piece out. Now you can see all of the areas where those pieces of clay met up that I pressed inside the mold. And to smooth that out, I can take just a flexible metal or steel rib, and I can go along, and that's where this top part, I'm going to kind of work that seam line and smooth that, and I'm going to pinch this top to get any air traps out of there, and I'm going to smooth where that seam line was. And then I'm not too worried about texture on the rest of this, except for the area where it's going to be kind of the belly of the turkey. And so I'm going to usually pick the side that's the smoothest. This side has a lot of bumps. This side is pretty smooth. So I'm just going to take that rib and I'm going to drag that over to eliminate those areas where the pieces of clay met up and smooth it. I'm not worried about this being perfectly smooth. I just want to get rid of heavy lines and things. If I've got real deep indentations all over, like I have on this side, if I can't just smooth that out, I can always go back with a little bit of clay and kind of press that in those areas, and then take the rib over the top and just kind of smooth it. But this side is where his feathers are going to be, his tail feathers, so I'm really not worried about smoothing that a whole lot. Now, the top on this is small, and so I usually will take and add some clay onto that area. Get this mold out of the way here. I will add some clay on to make this a little bit thicker for making the head of the turkey. And so you can make a coil that would, or a kind of an open stem that would go over the top of that, or you can just take a flattened piece of clay and kind of wrap it around here, and then kind of pinch and squeeze that and squish that into that piece. And I'm just kind of taking and dragging this down and blending it into the rest of the gourd with my thumb. You can use your rib, you can use a wooden tool, whatever you need to. You want to try to get that on there tight and pinch that so that you don't have a bunch of air pockets in there. A lot of people think that clay pieces will blow up if you have an air pocket, and it's not necessarily the result of having an air pocket. It's usually moisture that's trapped in that air pocket that in firing, that moisture turns to a gas or a vapor in there and causes pieces to pop off. And so it's really more about making sure the piece is dry before you fire the piece, more than so much that there's an air pocket in there. But avoiding air pockets avoids having any moisture getting caught inside there. So you can see now we've got a thicker stem on here, and this is going to be the head of our turkey. And so to make his eyes, I will take my thumbs and kind of press those into this for where his eye sockets are going to be. Now I can leave his head straight up and down, or I probably will curve it a little bit as we get going on here. I'm going to just lay this on its side. I'm going to take some clay, and when I do things like eyes on pieces, I will usually roll a little coil that's pretty even, and I will take my needle tool and I will cut off a piece that I think is about the right size for the eye, and then I'll lay the rest of the coil next to it and cut off so that I get fairly even amounts of clay, and then I'll roll that into a little ball for his eyeball and do the same thing with the other one. Otherwise, sometimes you end up with one eyeball that's quite a bit larger than the other if you just try to pull off a piece of clay and make your eyeball. You want to score and slip, and you can make slip that's using the clay body that you're working with. Or some people will use just water if your clay is nice and wet. I'm going to use some slip here. I'm going to kind of score, just scratch lines where these eyes are going to go. It looks like we're past and Janine's done writing, so she's cut off the mystery box. If anybody says mystery box at this point.
Yeah, and if you put your name in before, like I went back and looked through them again, so like
Okay.
they might have entered it, but I didn't see it until after 8:15, so.
Okay, and she got everybody right from the beginning. Okay, now we got questions.
Could you use one of your orb molds and just add clay to the top?
You could, on this one, you could do that and just make kind of a stem on the top because the bottom of this is pretty round. Yeah, you could actually do that. So I scored the back of the eyes, I pressed them in, and then I kind of wiggle them as I put them in, and then I'm just going to kind of flatten them a little bit. So this is kind of a creepy looking little creature at this point. And then you need to decide, and from the picture that I showed you guys, there's two different turkeys. There's one that uses the leaves as feathers, and there's one that is more of a traditional. So we're going to make this one into the leaf turkey. So I'm just going to set this little guy aside, and we're going to take and do kind of a slab of clay first for the back of the turkey. Now we could make individual leaves to go up behind there, or we can take the slab of clay and use that as a base to attach the leaves to, and then put our turkey in front of it, and then we've got a nice solid piece. If you just start taking clay leaves and overlapping them to make this back part without using a base or a slab of clay to start, it's going to be really weak and it's going to break really easily. So I want to kind of round this piece of clay on the top so that it's not so square. And I'm just going to take and pinch this and kind of flatten the edge so that it's thin. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And then I'm going to take some of the leaves, and I'm working with the rubber leaf forms that I sell on the website. You can use real leaves to do this, but here in Wisconsin right now all the leaves are falling off of our trees. So in the winter, these are great. Plus, these are reusable. Excuse me. So I can take these and I can press them into this piece of clay, and I can use a variety of leaves, and I can overlap these, and I'm leaving the leaves inside. I got a dry throat. I'm going to leave these leaves in here for now. Just looking for some different shapes. I've got a mum leaf, and I'm using, these are part of the small leaf assortment, and I'm using kind of the largest leaves from each one of those assortments. And what else do we have here? We'll use a pumpkin leaf on the bottom here. So what I'm trying to do is just get that base to have the texture of leaves, and then I can go and I can kind of lift this and just pull that excess clay away from in between those leaves and kind of bevel the edge of that so that it's not super thick along the edges. You could use a tool and cut around there as well. I find that just using my fingers and beveling that edge works, and then I'm not cutting into my foam mat. This blue mat that I'm working on is just craft foam. A lot of you have gotten used to me using that craft foam as my surface because it keeps the clay smooth and it doesn't absorb a lot of moisture out of the clay. So once I've got that done, I can kind of remove the leaves and see that I've got that leaf texture in the background. And then I can make some dimensional leaves, but I'm just going to kind of lay my turkey down here, and this is a nice size for the leaves that are going to be coming up. And now I can make some additional leaves that are going to get pressed into here. So I'm going to pick out some of the smaller shapes and sizes here. I've got the dahlia, I've got the lemon, I've got a small oak, I should have some smaller mum leaves in here. There's one a little bit bigger. Here's the little bit bigger one. So I'm going to take now and flatten out a piece of clay. If you haven't seen how these leaves are made, so I'm just flattening out a piece of clay that's larger than the leaf that I'm going to be working with. I'm going to press that leaf into it, get all the texture into it, and then just pull the clay up on the sides. Again, I could take a tool and cut around there, but it'll take more time than to do this. Now the leaf is kind of thick and clunky, so I use my thumb to kind of bevel that edge and remove that thickness of the clay just on the edge of the leaf. If you try to make the leaf super thin, it's probably not going to peel away from the form. So you want to leave it thick in the middle and just bevel those edges, and then you should be able to. I usually leave it a little thicker at the stem, and then I start there and I kind of peel it away, and I've got my leaf, and I can take and lay these on here. I'm going to lay the oak leaf over to this side because I've got an oak leaf right there. And again, you can use whatever leaves you want. And I'm going to do the dahlia leaf here.
Someone was asking about the foam you're working on.
Yep, that's just craft foam. I get those in packs at like Michael's, Hobby Lobby. They sell them in usually 12 packs, and they come out to, if you have a 40 or 50% off coupon, you know, probably a little over $1 a piece for those, and they work really well. And I did find, I know in another one of my lives, I talked about the rolls of that foam, and I was like, you know what, I've got a roll of that. I bought one time, but I wasn't sure where it was, and I went in my back room the other day and I found that roll of foam, and it was about 3 feet wide by, I want to say 5 or 6 feet long, that would cover a nice area on a table or to use to go through a slab roller. This is about 11 by 17, I think, and so if I was doing bigger slabs through my slab roller, that sheet would work really, really well to do that. Make a couple more leaves here. Got a lemon leaf. Goes a lot quicker doing the leaves this way. If I'm not talking, I can crank out a lot of leaves really quickly without
So you don't
really
have
even
to use
thinking.
cornstarch, the leaves don't stick to the clay?
Nope, and this is a nice soft clay. The only time that you may run into that it'll appear that the leaves are sticking is if I try to make the slab of clay way too thin. if I try to make that leaf really super thin and I go to peel that clay away from the leaf and it starts ripping and pulling apart, it's usually a sign that you've made it way too thin. It's just on the edges that I'm beveling and making it kind of thin. In the center of the leaf, it's probably 1/4 of an inch thick. Now sometimes on some of these leaves it's hard to get in between, so I pull my finger up from the bottom, or sometimes I'll take a tool and actually use that to get into tight spots if I can't get the clay out of those areas with my finger. All right, got another, let's do oak, dahlia, mum, lemon, and another oak leaf. Now, because this area is going to be covered, I'm just going to take these leaves and squish them in. Normally you would slip and score and slip, but because this is going to be covered and nobody's going to see this, I'm just taking my finger and I'm squishing these leaves into the main part of this clay. And then again, I'll lay my little turkey body on here and kind of check and make sure, and that again looks good. I'm going to set him aside again for a minute, and I'm going to make a couple of wings. And so I'm going to use kind of this medium. I'm going to use the mum leaf for the wing. On my sample, it looks like I used oak leaves, but we'll use the mum leaf on this one. So I'm going to make 2 leaves for his wings, done the same way. There's one. And we got 2. So when I got home a little while ago, I told Janine, I said, well, I have good news and I have bad news. I said, bad news is I hit a deer a little while ago driving. And the good news was it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage. I was driving, and I'm usually really good about watching for deer. We live in an area where there are a lot of deer collisions with vehicles. And we live like right on the edge of town, and sometimes we have lots of deer in our front yard and walking down our street, and there are a lot of deer around here, and there's a lot of hunting going on, so there's a lot of deer out there moving around. And fortunately, he didn't do a lot of damage. He was right outside my driver's window, and I turned, and I'm like, oh crap, he's gonna crash into me and come right through my window. So I just kind of floored it, and he was probably like 3 feet from my truck, and he ended up hitting the back wheel well on my truck. Well, Janine just said, is he okay? I did not see his body there when I came back the other way, and he basically headbutted the side of my truck and popped out all of the molding around the wheel well, which most of that popped back in, and then there's a little bit of fur and a little bit of what appears to be a little bit of poop on the side of my truck. So I think I scared the poop out of him. All right, so we've got our turkey here, and we're going to score the back side, and I'm using my, if you don't have one of these, the Zim retractable tools. This just slides and hides all of those sharp blades on there, and then you pull it back and it exposes those. And so I love that little tool. I'm going to score the back, and I'm going to score this area where these parts are going to attach, and then I'm going to put some slip in there or some water in there. And you want to make sure if you use slip that the slip that you use is compatible with the clay body that you're working with. So I'll usually let some of the clay dry out and then mix it with water. This is a raku clay body, and I know that it shrinks at the same rate as my low fire slip, and so I can use that low fire slip on there. Now I'm kind of putting my turkey in, and I'm kind of wiggling him, and then I'm going to go right from the bottom of the craft foam, and I'm going to take and I'm going to kind of pinch this in to go around his body, and then I can lift that up, and on the back side here I can take and squish that feather into his body and squish that down and mold it right into the body. Now, if your clay is real wet, sometimes you may end up leaving the body sit for a little bit before you pick it up and do this. One of the reasons I like this raku clay body is it's got sand in it, and so it makes this clay very, very strong, and it will stand up. That sand in there makes it a more stable body to be able to go like this and stand this turkey up at this point. And then I'm going to kind of wiggle him back and forth to kind of flatten out his bottom, because the bottom is very rounded and I don't want my turkey falling back. You also have to be careful. When I did workshops with this, some people made the back of their turkey so big that it made him really heavy in the back that he wanted to tip back. So sometimes you have to bring those feathers up and around a little bit more and kind of round that so that he's not so heavy in the back that he wants to tip back. And I can go in here and I can kind of bring these little feathers out and kind of bend them a little bit, bring these up. So I've got this, and then my little feathers for the sides, I'm going to take and place those. And this too, because I'm going to squish this into the body, I don't need to score and slip this because I'm squishing this part of the leaf and this part of the leaf into the body and making it one piece. It wouldn't hurt to score and slip, but it's really not absolutely necessary to do that. Then I'm going to add some texture to his body, and I like to use this scoring tool as a tool from Kemper, and I'll go back and add, and I'll kind of decide like where is his belly going to be on here, and his belly is going to kind of be in this area. So this area I'm going to take and really smooth with my finger, and then the rest of this I'm going to add texture. And I can always go back with water and smooth this area after it dries. A lot of you know that I don't like to have water on the tables when I do workshops, because most people have a tendency to get their piece too wet. And so I'm going to go along and I'm going to add texture using this tool all around on the rest of, oops, this body. Let me get into the camera. I'm looking at the turkey and not paying attention to what I'm doing here in the camera. Whoops, got part of my leaf in there.
So somebody who's at work, but she's kind of sneaking.
Oh, sneaking in at work. Shame on you, but I love it. Hopefully your boss isn't sneaking at Beak too and just saw you say that. Although I guess you'd both be in trouble then if...
What Mike didn't tell everybody is that we have a daughter who is a menace on the roadways and has had so many claims that we're afraid of filing any more insurance claims, so
yeah.
we cannot have anything happen.
Our oldest daughter has just, she's had lots of misfortune
Terrible.
with, yeah, I mean, she had hit a deer, she had a RAV4 that wasn't even a year old, and she hit a deer, and there was quite a bit of damage to the front of the vehicle, and they ended up totaling the vehicle because it wrecked the wiring harness on it, and that was not good.
That's a big claim.
Yeah, that was a big claim, and she had some vandalism to her vehicle, and she accidentally hit a post at going through a drive-through at a Starbucks, and I don't even remember.
But then she's driving a couple months ago, and her sunroof just exploded. Like,
yep.
She didn't do anything.
Yeah, her sunroof. She got a new vehicle then to replace that RAV4, and she's driving down the highway, and the sunroof just shatters as she's driving. And they said, and that was in the summer, and they said that it could have been just that it was really hot out, and the glass expanded, and so. All right, so now I'm making the little waddle that's going to go on here, and then I'm going to make his little, I guess, beak. Turkeys have beaks. Is that what that? Yeah. Just kind of a.
On the top?
Huh? No, the waddle on this one we're going to do on the bottom. I think there's usually. Oh, that isn't the waddle. Yeah, what is that called? I think we had this discussion when I did this webinar years ago. So I'm just making kind of a triangular piece here for the beak, and I'm kind of bringing it to a point here just by pinching. And this is going to go on here. In this, I am going to, now I've basically scored the whole area there. I'm going to score this and slip it on, and then whatever this red thing is that hangs down there, I guess it's not the waddle, it's something.
Oh, wait. The snood is up on the nose. The under the throat is the waddle.
Okay, so that is the waddle underneath the throat.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were putting it.
So we're putting this is called the snoot or the snout?
Snood.
Snood. The snood. All right, so we're putting that on there, and then...
Or a comb.
Or comb, okay. And then I'm putting a little slip on the waddle, and I'm going to kind of wiggle as I attach that down below, and we've got our turkey. And then we can decide, okay, we want his head to be bent a little bit to the side, and that's what we've got. Now on the back side of his feathers, I can either leave that smooth, or I can take and score and texture that as well. And I generally do like to texture the backside of those leaves. I won't do this on the whole thing right now, but I'll do a little bit just to give you guys an idea of adding the texture on there. And that is your turkey. So he's vented on the bottom. He's got his hole is in the bottom there, and you can set him aside to dry. And then I've got the larger one. I've got that already all clay puzzled and ready to go. And so on the bigger one, what we're going to do is we're going to do more of a traditional technique rather than the leaves for the body. We're going to do more like feathers. And so I'm going to cut a thicker slab of clay, and I could roll this through a slab roller, or I could take a rolling pin and do this, but I'm just going to flatten this with my hands. We sold the last of our slab rollers, our portable ones, and I want to bring my big one out here and mess with that. So I'm just going to flatten this with my fingers, and I can take this, and I'm actually going to go on the floor here. But what I'm going to do that you guys won't see is I'm going to take this slab of clay and I kind of slap it down on the foam mat. So I'll slap it this way, not just straight down. I'm kind of pulling it as it hits, and then I'll flip it. And then I'll do it again, and I'll flip it the other way, and I'll do it again, and I'll flip it again and do it the other way. And then I'll turn it over and do it on the other side. So you'll hear this slapping sound coming, and that's just slapping it and turning it as I do that. And that's a really easy way to stretch out your clay and get a slab to work with.
Someone wants to know if you'll show the turkey when you place it.
I've got the pictures on the screen behind me here that has, there the turkeys are, the feather one, or the leaf one is glazed, and then the big one I actually did with acrylics and did dry brushing on those acrylics. So I've got my bigger slab here, and I'm going to take my large gourd out of the mold.
Raku firing, what is the firing range?
Raku firing, I programmed the kiln to go to 1730 degrees, and then I have it dropped to 1680, and at 1680 is when I pull the pieces out and put them into the trash can with combustibles. Some glaze manufacturers have higher temperatures on their glaze bottles. I find that those cooler temperatures work better for what I do. All right, so the big turkey, it's the same concept. You've got all the little marks and things where the puzzling was. I'm going to take and put some clay into some of these heavier grooves, and I'm just kind of pinching it and pressing it into those grooves, and then I'm going to take that flexible rib over the top. Now I could have avoided these lines by putting a bigger slab of clay into the mold rather than little pieces, but not everybody has a slab roller, or in workshops it's not always practical to have everybody with rolling pins on the tables, rocking the tables, and using a rolling pin to do that. So this is how we get around that. And now I'm going to take the rib and I'm going to drag it over again. The only area that I really want to worry about is where the belly is going to be, that I want it to be smooth. And I could do a texture there as well if I wanted. And again, it doesn't need to be perfectly smooth because I can always go back with water after it's dry and do more smoothing. All right, so I've got my feathers back here for on my turkey, and I need to make his head. I'm going to build up a little bit of clay. This larger gourd does give you a bigger top on here, but I'm going to take and add a little bit of clay around here so that I can make his face a little bit bigger, and I'll show you another way of doing the beak or whatever that's called on here. What did you say it was called? It's not a beak, it's a snood.
Well, it's like the fleshy part on top of the beak.
Oh, the fleshy stuff on top
Then
is the
there's
snood.
like a comb on top of his head. Apparently,
Oh, okay.
There's all sorts of parts.
Yeah, well, we're putting a hat on this turkey, so we're not too worried about that. But if you want to really get, you know, an authentic turkey, you know, that turkey was made with leaves, so it's not really realistic. But I'm building up a little bit of extra clay on his head here, and I'm going to show you we're going to do kind of like little cheeks on here and give him a little bit more character so it's not quite as straight as that other one was. And so I'm just kind of taking my thumbs and I'm kind of taking this and kind of pulling this down to give him a little bit more of kind of a shape to his head here. And I can actually take then that extra clay and pull that out.
Do you have signed up for Retreat on the website already?
Yeah, the retreat sign up is on the website, and retreat is in May every year, and I think it's already about half full. So we haven't even really promoted it, and a bunch of people have been signing up, which is wonderful.
Someone just asked when sign up is, and I'm like, I think you're already.
Yep, it's already on the website, and I think we actually have it in the live event special so that it's out there for everybody to see and easy to get to. So if you're thinking of coming.
I'll make grape salad, Vicky.
Oh, okay, Vicky's asking. Yeah. All right, so you can see we've got a little bit more character to the face here, and we could make his cheeks puffier if we wanted. If you look on the finished sample that I had before, that did have a little bit puffier cheeks on here. I can take and make my indentations for my eyes in here. And, you know, as you're looking at this would make a great chicken as well. And so, you know, a lot of times you look at these things and you're like, it's a gourd. Well, it's not just a gourd. Look at the other things that you can do with it. I think these done as chickens and having like wire and then like feet hanging from it and have them like sitting over the edge on a rail or on a fence or something, or out in a garden sitting on some rocks or a block of wood or something would be kind of cool. So I'm going to make his eyeballs like I did the other ones. I'm going to roll my coil of clay. I'm going to cut it with my needle tool. Roll them into a ball. Score them. Score the area where they're going to attach. Dab slip. Wiggle it as I put it in place. And I always wiggle these because if you just stick them on there, those score marks don't necessarily kind of lock together. So I do that, and I kind of joke that in workshops I'll go up and grab eyes and add-ons that people put and kind of give it a twist and be like, okay, you know, that's not quite on there well if it pops off real easily. We're going to make some, we'll make his waddle. And on this one, because he's a little bit bigger, we can make multiple layers. If you look at real turkeys, sometimes this fleshy part is in several different strips, and usually I have it a little bit thicker at the bottom and it gets a little bit narrower at the top. And we're going to make a couple little sections like this. They don't all have to be the same size and length. Make one more here that's a little bit smaller.
When you when you have a second, if you want to talk about shipping and stuff, somebody asked if we have an update on shipping for rubber leaf molds.
So we've got another large shipment of leaf molds in the other day on the website. There's most of them are still marked as back ordered. We got orders for tons and tons of leaves this month. But next week, she's been sending us shipments every week. I said, just once a week, send us what you have ready. And she's been sending those shipments on a weekly basis. I think like the holly leaves now, we might almost have enough holly leaves to fill all of the orders. But most of them are going into the middle of November. We're saying it was end of October, and we just changed that to mid-November now. If people are ordering the leaves now, that it'll probably be mid-November that you'll be seeing leaves that are ordered now. But most of you should be getting your orders. We got through the bulk of, we had so many orders came in this time. A lot of the ClayShare people learned after the last time that we were part of the ClayShare group doing workshops that a lot of people, we were behind months with those unexpected orders. So this time a lot of people went in and they ordered before we even went live. And so we had the bulk of the orders. We had like 750 orders or something come in before on like the 5th and the 6th of October. And so most of those orders were through now. There's a few here that, like the oval cones, a lot of you ordered the oval cones, and we're getting caught up on those, but that's probably the one thing that's kind of setting us back a little bit, but we're doing really well on those. Yeah, and those actually, they said, you know, the original people that ordered it, they went into production the middle of October, and it said right from the start, middle to the end of October. So if you had ordered and your order said middle to the end of October, we've shipped out the majority of them. We probably have about 100 more of those to go, and I expect in the next about week that most of those should be done in the next week. So we're actually doing really well. We're down to 300, right around 300 orders. I can't remember where it ended today. We sent a lot of stuff out today. We're down to about it was like 309, I think, earlier today, orders that were still in the system. And now, you know, more orders have come in today, but we're not getting like, you know, 500 orders a day. It might be 20 or 30 orders a day. So we're doing pretty well.
Did you talk about the stack of spheres? Someone's asking about that too.
Sphere molds, those actually, I mean, we've got several orders going out for them, but we are caught up and stocked up. I think we have actually extra inventory of the spheres now.
So for the tree the star top on the tree, what size are those? They're probably...
They are, I actually just had them, I moved, they're right there next to you.
Oh.
These are...
What went up to your...
This is if you have the scoring tool. Whoops. It's about the same height as the scoring tool, so it's probably about 3 inches, because this is what actually shows on the star. So that's the size that I went with. There are larger stars than this, but this is the size that we're selling on the website. All right, so these 2 pieces of clay I made, these are going to be his side feathers. They don't have to be exactly the same, but I just kind of lay them on top of each other to get about the same size. And then on the feathers here, I want to kind of scallop these a little bit so that they kind of look like feathers, and I'm going to just kind of put some rough lines in here to give you an idea of, I'm just kind of cutting these V's in here to kind of round these, and then like this is going to be the center of each of those feathers.
You'll talk about how long to let this dry later at the end?
Yeah, so the clay pieces, you're making these fairly thick, and so you you need to let these dry well before you fire them. And I get people asking, should I put it in plastic? The only time I put pieces in plastic is if you traditionally have a lot of air and circulation going around where you're worried that the pieces are going to get too dry in some areas and not in others. And so I don't put stuff in plastic because I put it in a room where there isn't a lot of air blowing. And I let it dry. I'm gonna just do the texture on these feathers, and you'll see this as I'm doing it. And I go out from that line. So I generally put it in a room where there isn't a lot of air circulation, and I let it dry usually for a few days naturally, and then I will set it on top of the kiln that is firing from start to finish, and then I will feel the piece, and if it feels hot all over, then it's usually a pretty good sign that the piece has dried. Now, if you're not sure, if you're concerned that this piece is really thick and I might need to let it dry a little bit more, then do a hold on your kiln. If you've got a newer digital kiln, they will do a preheat or a soak at the beginning of the firing. And what it does is it heats up to about 180 degrees, and it will dry those pieces out. And so you would put in a certain number of hours. Now, if you've got, one or two pieces in the kiln that you think might be a little bit damp, you might have to do a 2 or 3 hour soak on those pieces. If you put a wet piece, now I could take this turkey, or both of these turkeys, after I'm done building these, and I could set these in my kiln, and I have done this. I don't really recommend it, but if you have to get something dry, I've put them in the kiln and done a 12-hour hold, which may be excessive to go 12 hours, but that pretty much assures me that those pieces are going to get really nice and dry before they go into the firing. And on digital kilns, when you program that soaking at the beginning of the firing, it will automatically then go right into the firing. So if you're programming for an 04 greenware firing and you do a 3-hour soak at the beginning, it will go right from that 04 or from that 180 degree preheat right into your 04 firing. Now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to gently do the same thing on the back side as well. And you'll see that I'm not going all the way into, because part of this is going to be covered by the body of the turkey. So I'm not worried about going all the way necessarily into this piece where the gourd is going to be attached. We're going to score that area, but it doesn't have to be in a certain direction. And then when you do the actual firing, you usually have the option of slow, medium, or fast, or standard, fast. Each kiln has a different way of saying it. Most recommend going at a medium speed. If you have really heavy clay pieces, a lot of times it's recommended that you go at the slow speed. It will take your kiln a lot longer to fire, and a preheat or a soak obviously is adding time to it as well. But you don't want to put pieces in the kiln that have moisture, because when they're fired, those pieces can pop and make a huge mess in your kiln, and all that work that you've done, those pieces end up just getting destroyed. So.
Someone knows your turkey with no water.
Yep. You'll rarely find water on the table. Now I'm just going to go back and redo kind of my main veins in these feathers, because as I add the texture, sometimes that messes it up a little bit, and I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Oh, you know what? This is going to be the back. I do need to do all the way on here. As I was doing that, I'm like, yeah, on one of these sides I need to do that, because this is going to be the back of the turkey, which will not be covered by the gourd. I was just testing you guys to see if you were paying attention, if anybody caught that. You guys failed at this. We would have figured it out once I put it on there. But it would have been more of a challenge to add the texture after it was on the turkey. It'd be possible, but easier to do when it's laying flat. All right, I'll just touch up those main veins there. All right, and then I'm going to flip this over because this is going to be the back. This is the side I don't need to worry about. Now on the edges, I'm going to go back and add a little bit of texture on there as well. And don't worry about all these little pieces of clay that this tool creates on here. If you try to pull those off now, it's just going to embed them in and you're going to lose your texture on there. Wait for this piece to dry, and once it's dry, you just rub your hand over it, and all those little chunks of clay just flake and fall off. All right, and then his wings on the side, I'm going to score those completely, add texture. Do the same thing on the back side because one of these sides is going to be attached. Do the same thing on the other wing. And then before I attach this turkey, on the back side, it's a lot easier to score and add your texture onto the entire back before you put it together, because these big ones are a little bit floppier. That little one was easy to pick up and handle and move around, but this big one can be a little bit more challenging. The less I have to move him after I have him put together, the better. I'm working with just a raku clay body because it has sand in it, but I could do the same technique with a mid-range clay body. I could do this with a low-fire earthenware clay body. I could do this with a red clay body. All right, so I've got that whole back, and then this area where he's going to attach, I don't have to worry about the score marks being in a certain direction. I'm going to add my slip.
The closed captioning things, when you say raccoon, you say raccoon.
Oh yeah, raccoon does, yeah, the closed captioning changes it to raccoon. I don't think
They don't know that word.
They don't know, yeah. They got to get up on pottery terms. And I am surprised, though, how well the closed captioning does generally work. It really is surprising. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to lay him on here, and I'm going to kind of wiggle him back and forth a little bit, and then I'm reaching down onto the back, and when I showed you guys on the little turkey, I picked it up to do it, but I'm basically doing the same thing with those feathers in the back, and I am taking and squishing them onto the back of the turkey. Just adding a little bit of clay on the bottom here. I have a little bit of a thin area on his body, so I just added a little bit more clay on the inside. And then before I pick him up, I'm going to get his wings added on the side, but I'm going to score a little bit more of this. I actually use this one. I do like this one better for adding this texture. Can control it and get into tight areas a little bit better. Bring up some texture from the bottom. Bring the texture down around his waddle. and then his wings. Now these, because they're bigger, I am going to add some slip onto the back here before I attach this, even though I'm going to take and I'm going to squish this into the body. But because it's bigger, I just want to make sure that that really gets attached well. And I can go back and add some more score marks on that wing to blend it into the body. Do the same thing on the other side.
So, like, I know you talked about drying, but someone was asking how long it takes. There's really no hard and fast.
There is no hard and fast, because you got to keep in mind that how thick you make the piece, what your conditions are. If I'm in Wisconsin in the summer when we have 90% humidity outside, or I'm down in Florida or Louisiana and it's real humid, it's going to take a little bit longer for the pieces to dry. And also, if you leave it outside, so if I put this out on our patio to dry, once it's dried for a few days, and I put it out on the patio, and it gets real humid at night, and it's sitting out there at night, the clay is going to absorb humidity and moisture again. So it's best to let it dry for a few days. If you can set it on top of a hot kiln, and that would be from the start of the firing to finish. Don't put a wet piece like this on top of a kiln that's 1500 degrees. You're going to crack the piece. It should be pretty well dry looking. There's probably still moisture in it, and by heating that piece up, you should get that moisture out. And then you know, if you're still not sure, put it in the kiln and do a soaking on it. So it could take a week if you're just going to let it dry naturally, or it could take a little bit less time. I've gotten pieces that are this wet in the kiln, done a 12-hour soak on them, fired them, and had them out within 2 days. Again, I don't recommend that. It's not real good for your kiln to have all of that moisture going into the brick. It's going to tend to rust things out. But it can be done if you have to. Just adding some texture onto his head here. Leaving his little beak area smooth. And then if I want to make a little hat for my turkey, I can just start out with a ball of clay. And if you've ever made a pinch pot is basically taking your thumb into the middle of that and pivoting and turning it to open that up. The top is going to be kind of rounded, so I will take that and I will press that down to flatten the top, and then I just pinch this out to make the rim of the hat. And I can make that as big as I want. I can go back and I can add, I'm going to just pinch this in so it's a little more straight up and down. In this too, I can go back and I can smooth this with a wet brush or a wet sponge after this dries, so I'm not going to be super duper particular with this, but I'm just smoothing this.
If someone has a question about a completely different topic, would that be a good thing to email you about, or they want to know if you can talk about it sometime, but it doesn't have anything to do with piece?
I can, if I've got time now. I know we're getting to the end here, so
It's
you can
just
ask
about
and I'll...
How using glass frit with cone 5 and 6 work. She's interested in how the frit works compared to other glass. So
glass frit, so when you're firing glass in with ceramics, and especially going to those higher cone 5, cone 6 temperatures, inexpensive glass, like I've gotten like glass beads at the craft store and at the dollar store, and I fired those. And sometimes I will have a piece of red glass I'm trying to think if it was red glass that turned chartreuse or chartreuse that turned red in firing. It was really unexpected that I got that reaction. So always test that glass. The nice thing with using glass frit that's designed for glass fusing is generally the color that it is, it will fire out to. Sometimes you'll have some reds and things that might burn out a little bit, but for the most part, they will stay pretty true to color, and you won't see changes there. I was just going to see about making that's almost too much on there. I think I would just paint the band on there and a little buckle. I could probably make a little buckle here with a little square piece of clay. And also keep in mind that if you do glass frit on your ceramic pieces, those pieces are not going to be food safe because that glass is going to expand and contract at different rates than your glazes will, and you will always get crazing in that glass. So it really is for decorative surfaces only. I'm just making a little buckle here, and I used a hole punch to put a circle in there. Okay. And I'm going to add that.
Someone's asking if you could do a webinar on the frit ceramic mixture.
Yeah, I did. Some of you probably saw that picture that I posted earlier today, and I did. It was a raku piece that I did, and that would be a fun live event to do. So this turkey is going to be really wet to stand up. I'm going to try to stand him up here. Again, I'm using the foam mat to take and tip him upward, and I'm going to stand him up, and I'm going to kind of give him a little wiggle to flatten that bottom. But if he was too wet and too floppy, I would probably avoid doing that. And then I'm going to make sure that my feathers are attached and blended in. I'm going to kind of pull this back and flare this out a little bit and take a close look at him. I'm going to set his hat on, and I'll pick him up and hold him up in the camera so you guys can get a better view. I'm just making sure that I've got everything on here done. Yeah, I think, oh, you know what? I'm going to add little indentations for his little beak thing here. I'm going to just take that needle tool and put some little indentations in here. I'll hold up this little turkey and show you guys on here better. Get his thing in there. So there's just a little notch. Whoops, let me get that in on each side like that. And so this is, let me hold him up. I've got him on a board here, so I should be able to lift him up without tipping him. And we got our little turkey with his little pilgrim hat on. And his eyes, I can kind of flatten these a little bit. They're still a little rounded. Sometimes those really rounded eyes end up looking really bug-eyed. And so I kind of flatten those out. Now the hat I usually leave off of it, and I will just glue that on after I've painted him. Just looking over at my finished piece here, I don't see anything else on there that, what's that? Yeah. And this is our little turkey, and we could make a little hat for him if we wanted to, but we don't have to. And you can do the little one with the traditional technique as well. So.
Luann's just a little stuff.
Oh yeah, sure, Luann. Let me. Yeah, it's called a recording. All right. So, are there any other questions on that? And if there isn't, we will do the mystery box, and I'll talk about a couple new things that, while Janine's looking to see if there are any questions, I've had a lot of people asking about ornaments. And so I did a live a while back where I did ceramic ornaments on a lathe. And people were asking if I had those in bisque. And I've had them in bisque for a while. We did add the two sizes of 3-inch and 4-inch to the website. We also now have molds for the 3-inch ornaments. Get that in the light is really bright here. They do have the tops on them. For those of you that are casting, we've got some of these in stock now. It's an HK, and these do qualify for free shipping as well. And so that is something new that we have added to the website. And if you're not familiar with the website, It's learnfiredarts.com is the website, and you'll find a section in there along the top. It'll say shop, and you can go on into there, and you can, the first things that come up are usually the things that we've used in the lives. Now we've had 4 lives this month, I think 4, maybe more, I don't know, it seems like about 10. And so there's a lot of stuff in there from the month. Yeah, yeah. So we've had one every week. So there's a lot of stuff in there right now, but we try to number like the things that I used tonight, like the gourd molds and stuff. Those are all numbered number 1, and so they will come up first in that live event special section. And so those molds are in there. The bisque ornaments I think we've got in there. And I also want to talk about another new product real quickly. This is modeling paste that I found, and years ago Ceramichrome had a product called Sculpting Paste, and it was used for fixing low fire earthenware pieces that had cracks or chips in them. And they, over the years, that product got discontinued. Another company manufactured it for them. I think they didn't actually manufacture it, and people really missed that product. And so this paste that I found works well for fixing cracks and chips and things on bisque pieces. It can also, and it's earthenware. This does not get fired. This is a non-fired product. So if you're doing non-fired finishes, acrylics on there, this paste can be used. This can also be tinted with acrylic and used to build up designs. And I was playing around before this to try and see, because one of the things, Ceramichrome also had a non-fired snow that was smooth, and you could make icicles with it. And so I just went with a palette knife and I scooped some of this on and I pulled it down for icicles to see how strong it'll be. And that color's still kind of wet, but look at that. For things like buildings and trees, you can put that on there and just take the palette knife and kind of pull it down while it's wet and get icicles coming down on there. Seems like there's other uses for that product that I thought of as well. But doing dimensional designs and stuff. So I'm going to be doing some cool stuff with this. There's also a product called Stencil Butter that I'm playing around with, and it comes in all these cool metallic colors, and it works great with stencils. Again, it's a non-fired product, but I'm working with it on polished underglazes. And so it's a metallic kind of shiny on this dull background, and it's, so far the results are really cool on it. So I'm really looking forward to playing around with that. I'm going to move this big turkey out of the way here and get the mystery box out here, and we will draw a name for the mystery box. Janine's got the pot here. I'm going to flip the camera back down so you guys can see all the names in here. I'm shaking it and stirring it, trying to make sure nobody's name flies out of here. And what I'm going to do is I will draw a name out. Now, if the person doesn't like the box when we open it, it's okay. We will just pass it on to another person. Norma, I think it's Boudry. Boudry. Norma, if you are in here, let us know that you are in here. Put in a message that you're here. If Norma is not here, or Norma decides she doesn't want it, I will draw another name out. And so what the winner of this needs to do, and right now it would be Norma, if she responds and is still here, she goes into the website, into the shopping section, and there is the item number 1 says pay by dollar amount, and she would just go in and enter 50 as the quantity and go through the process of paying, and then we will ship this out to her. So I had mentioned that this box has...
Yes,
she's here. All right, so let us know, Norma, as I'm going through this, if you like what you see in here. Duncan, a lot of you know that...
Someone actually saw their name in there.
Oh, so Janine really does write everybody's name down. Yeah. Duncan was purchased, the color line was purchased by Mako a while back, and little by little Mako is getting these Duncan products manufactured, and so there are some Duncan, the metallic colors are coming in now. Almost all of the OSs, the non-fired colors, are available. We'll be getting all of these up on our website. We do have a kit up there that will be updated since we have inventory where you can get all the Duncan colors and sprays and stuff. We did it as a mystery box a while back, and we're going to reintroduce that, so watch for that on the website soon. But there's a couple of those in here. We also have Duncan Easy Strokes are back. There are a dozen colors in stock right now, and there's, I believe, 5 more colors that they're going to be coming out with to even out that palette. We also have the colors for Earth, the color concentrates, which are basically an easy stroke, and we have these in 1 ounce and 2 ounce, and these come in tons of colors. Right now we just have the kits up on the website, and we've started adding the individual bottles of colors, so you've got both of those in there. Some of you saw the Easy Do Mender. I introduced this a while back. We did run out of this. This is back in stock. We just got several cases of this in. This is a great mending product for greenware pieces and bisque pieces if they get broken. I've never had a product hold up that well. There is some of the Duncan No Fired Snow is back in stock. We had the glitter snow was in stock, and that we are out of again. We will be getting more of that in. Mako is remanufacturing it again, but there is a 4 ounce bottle of snow, which is nice. And this snow is kind of a textured, non-fired snow. It has kind of a gritty, sandy texture to it, kind of a nice puffy snow. And you can use that on stains. You can use it on glaze pieces as well. And look, you get a bottle of the new modeling paste too. This is an 8 ounce bottle where the Duncan Snow comes in a 4 ounce. The Mako Snow comes in a 2 ounce. But you got an 8 ounce bottle of that new modeling paste in there. You also got some of the crystal glazes, the Jungle Gems from Mako. We've got all of these in stock in pints. Those are getting added to the website. Some of the colors we've got in 4 ounce, but honestly, a 4 ounce bottle doesn't go that far, so I think we're going to be stocking the pints heavily, and some of the 4 ounce colors we will stock as well. You also got an assortment of the Mako Spectaclear colors. So the Stardust I had shown a while back works well on dark colors and gives you a glittery, sparkly effect on dark colors. It shows up as a dark speck on light colors. And then there's also the Spectaclear Celebration, which is kind of a aqua and orange speck suspended in clear glaze. The Peppermint is a really nice holiday color that has red and green specks suspended in a clear glaze. And the Autumn has like oranges and browns and yellow specks in it. So you got all 4 of those colors. And then we've got some new stencils. Yeah, come on down. Yeah. And okay, and then last in here we have some new stencils. So we've carried this reverse tree stencil in the 12-inch size. This is now available in the 6-inch size. This one is a brand new holly leaf one, which I kind of laughed about because a lot of you loved the holly tree that I did with clay with the leaves. And I really thought this was kind of a cool stencil with this. I can see doing this with raku. I want to do that with some raku or even on plates and mugs. This is a nice size for a larger mug. Butterflies are back in the 6-inch size as well. We added those. And then the very popular sunflowers that we had in the 6-inch size are now available in a 12-inch size as well. And all of these were added to the website and are available. So Norma, you get all of this for the low, low price of $50. There's about $100 worth of product in here. And shipping is
G072 Wedgwood Blue is in the mystery box.
There is no Wedgwood Blue in this mystery box. We do have Wedgwood Blue in 2 ounce and I believe in pints in stock as well. And I'll bet that's Luann. So I'm assuming Norma, did she respond that she loves it and wants it?
Well, she hasn't. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, everybody else. Norma wanted the box, and so none of you get it. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We don't have any other questions. We're gonna call it a night, and I'm gonna go out and take a closer look at my vehicle and see how much damage is done to it. I came running in here to do the live and didn't look that closely.
Tape the lids.
Tape the lids.
Oh, who's gonna help fill up?
Okay. Yeah. We usually wrap them good in paper, so hopefully that won't be a problem. So I appreciate you guys being here. Take care. We will be back to our normal schedule of every 2 weeks doing the lives. October was kind of an unusual month with being the ClayShare sponsor, and we appreciate all the orders and all the support that everybody has been giving this last month, and we will be caught up on orders soon. If you are international and you are waiting for a freight quote from me, I am working on that. We got hundreds of people asking for freight quotes, and I have to go and look up the weights and measurements and everything and figure out how big of a box it's going to go in and then enter everything to be able to do that freight quote. So it takes a long time to do those, and I am getting caught up on those. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to type them into the comments. I will go back and try to answer them, or you can private message me or email me any questions that you have. So take care. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great evening. And I have to see if Facebook will actually let me end this live, because it is still saying that the live video is starting. I might just have to close Facebook to get this, because it's covering the spot where I would normally end the live.